Okay, so I got it recording. I think everyone's kind of flurrying in. I am super excited, first of all. I'm so excited to meet all of you virtually. My name is Tamara Christensen. I have been on the board for Chester County Council for a while. I also serve on the National Cub Scout Committee. So it's truly my pleasure. I get to do these all across the country, but it's really like so close to my heart to be able to speak to you tonight. And I'm very, very excited about rolling out these new changes that are going to start on June 1st. And I hope by the end of this presentation that you're as excited as I am about this. I'm sorry, like so when we talk about this program, one second, my Zoom is like all over my screen, so I can barely see my screen, which just makes it more exciting to try to do this. Let me get things organized. Hold on. All right. So when we talk about the new program, we've been working on this for the last 5 years, and we constantly talk to Cub Scout leaders like yourselves and families. We always heard Cub Scouts is so hard. Every year it changes. Every program seems to be different. There's different number of electives, different number of required adventures. It's hard to explain to new people, and it's hard to get people to be excited about stepping up to be leaders because it's so difficult. So we decided that the program needed to be fun, and not just fun for Cub Scouts, because of course it's fun for Cub Scouts, but fun for the leaders, fun for the parents, fun for the family, right? It's a family program. We want it to be fun. And we want it to be simple. It needs to be simple to understand. We need to be able to explain it easily, and we need to be able to support it well. It needs to be easy to deliver, easy to do the program as it's designed to do without people wondering, well, is this what they wanted us to do? And having all these challenges. And the rollout for this is June 1st of this year. So you may be thinking, well, Tamara, did you guys just, scouters, as you well know, have opinions? And it might have been easy for us to sit around and Carrie Lee and Doug and the rest of the gang, us to decide what we thought that everyone needed. But we didn't do that. At the National Cub Scout Committee, we use data. So this is usually the point. If I'm in a group of people, I ask you, how many of you participated in a Cub Scout survey this last year or the last 5 years? And most of the people, if you're a Cub Scout leader or Cub Scout parent and you've been involved in the program, you have gotten at least one, if not many more than that, different Cub Scout surveys. And based on that data, it became immediately obvious that we had 4 kind of friction areas with our customers, and you are our customers, our parents are our customers. And so they kind of got into these 4 areas. The first one was Bobcat. So it became complicated. Bobcat, is it a rank? Is it an award? Like, it doesn't really fit like the rest of them do. What do you do with the returning Cub Scouts? You're trying to work on the new ones that you just got in, but then the old ones have already gotten their Bobcat. The new ones feel like, oh, I'm behind because I don't have the Bobcat and everyone else does. And then that makes people feel, we actually, the survey data indicated that it made people feel a little bit awkward, like maybe their kid was behind, and we don't want people to feel that way. People also, we always talk about age appropriateness and making sure that everything is written to the grade level that we're trying to have the young person work on. And one of the things we found with Bobcat was the same requirements, right? It's the same requirements for all the levels. And how could a lion or a tiger be expected to do the very same things that an AOL could? So the second point that we found out was that the adventures, I call this section the what's up with bears. Okay, so in bears, like they have all the cool adventures, right? They're like biking, they're swimming, they're doing all this great stuff. And your Cub Scouts all want to do those kind of things, right? So why do they get all the cool stuff? And the other ones are kind of like they get maybe one thing or 2 things, but not all of them. And so we found out that we had different amount of electives in the different areas. So like, why would we do that? And poor lions, they were like, had a pretty slimmed down program, and the AOLs had a beefier program. And then the bears had a lot of really cool stuff. So it was really disjointed. And we didn't have the same amount of required electives. So that makes it hard, especially when you're working on things across. So if you have a combined multi-level den, it's hard to make that work, right? When you have all these really disjointed adventures. So then the third area that we noticed was a struggle was the Webelos program. So, it's fourth and fifth graders, and we're sharing a book, which is interesting. And we're also sharing electives. And so it doesn't follow the pattern of the other ranks. So it was hard for leaders, especially new leaders who hadn't had a Cub Scout experience, to really understand what that was. And we were trying to make the Webelos program, we said it was to build you up to go to Scouts BSA, but does it really take 18 months or 2 years to build, to give people the skills necessary to go to Scouts BSA? The final thing was the awards. So on the awards side, we found out that the awards need to be in the direct line of sight of our leaders. So usually I ask at this point, how many of you did Summertime Pack Awards, some of these other awards that were like the World Conservation Award and different awards like that. And if you asked me, I would have said, well, we do them all. Of course, everyone does them all. But what we found out was the average attachment rate of these awards was 1.5%. Yet the kind of things that we do in those adventures or those awards are so cool. Of course, we want everyone to have the opportunity to do those, even if their leaders are not knowledgeable or in the know about those awards. And we also know that when we talk about our adventure attachment rate is more like 25% for those elective adventures. So we ended up reimagining the adventures. Okay, so the first thing we said was that the Bobcat adventure is designed to be the first required adventure, and we are going to do that every year. And it's going to be age appropriate. So not the same exact requirements every year. And it's going to be more character and leadership building. So then each badge of rank is going to have 6 required adventures and 2 elective adventures. That's it. Of course, I know some of you, I've seen you, you're go-getters, you're going to earn all the elective adventures, and that's awesome. And wait till you see them, you're going to be excited. But the 6 adventures are focused on the aims and focus areas of BSA. So they're going to be character leadership, they're going to be a focus on the outdoors, personal fitness, citizenship, personal safety, and family reverence. So when we talk about the Bobcat required adventure requirements that are going to be earned every year, your first required adventure. So here's some of the language difference. So in 3rd grade is kind of what we have right now. So you see, you're going to get to know your members of your den. Notice that that's across all the levels, right? We're getting to know the people in our den as the first thing we do in the fall, coming back. We're recruited people. Hopefully you've got, your first den meeting, you're getting to know each other. And then you're going to start to understand the Scout law, right? When you're in kindergartens, notice that the language is much more simple and the requirements are more simple so that it's age appropriate for kindergarten and 1st graders. Whereas you see an Arrow of Light in 5th grade, we're working on some of the concepts that you might see in Scouts BSA because we are trying to get people ready to go into Scouts BSA. So then we've already talked about the 6 adventures. We talked about how all of these adventures, the way that they're written is that if you had a multi-level den, so for those of you who may not know what a multi-level den is, it's a den where maybe we only had 1 wolf, right? And we had 3 bears. We can combine those dens together and do the program together, even though we have a small wolf representation. All of our required adventures are written so that you can do them together. You'll still have some differences, but the core concepts they're the same. All right. So here we're talking about those common activities for required adventures. So this one is the example for the outdoors adventure across all the levels. And you'll see that there's a walk, right? A walk is part of each of these adventures across all of the levels. And we use the term walk on purpose because what our survey data suggested was that when we use the term hike, people get connotations in their heads of a hiking stick, and they have to buy special boots, and they have to have special gear. And so we want to make this very accessible for everyone. So it says a walk, right? Because everyone can go on a walk, whether they're in an urban environment, whether they're in a suburban environment, or they're out in the wilderness, you can go on a walk. So you'll see that all of that is common across all of the levels. And so think about what that could do. Imagine that for your pack. I know we have some pack 23 representatives on the pack. You could decide as a pack that your first pack meeting, y'all are going to go for a walk. And then that would satisfy all the requirements across all the levels for your pack. So just an example. So the adventure requirements, we we were constantly told about how difficult they were. So before in the adventures, we were talking about, like, if you thought of Code of the Wolf, there were nested adventures, like requirements. So you'd be like, do one of two of these things and three of the next four things. And so it was very, very complicated. And so people got very confused. And Code of the Wolf was expanded across 2 pages. It looked like it was so complicated, but it's really so fun. So when you distilled down Code of the Wolf and you updated the requirements, you get something like this. So you're going to create a secret code, you're going to send a message, and the second one is just build and play a game that requires the use of codes or patterns. See how simple and easy these requirements are? And that's just the beginning of how we simplified things. And I'm going to break in and just say here, now you may be thinking, wow, did you guys just sit around and come up with this stuff? And what we did was we came up with this stuff based on your feedback. So if you were part of answering any survey, you were part of our team, and I appreciate it. And you guys didn't just give me or our team like data, like, oh, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like this? And that kind of numerical data, but you also gave us data like feedback where you wrote out, like Lori, I know she's very creative and amazing as a leader. She might have written in a whole thing on how she would have done like a Code of the Wolf thing, and some things that were super successful for her den and engaging. And we read, there was so much, I have to tell you, there was so many comments and so much of that people were willing to share. So when you see the den meeting resources that are going to be online, I'm going to go over that in just a little bit. You're going to see that some of your great ideas that you gave us are exactly the ones we were using to share with other dens and packs and den leaders. And so I really appreciate everyone who filled out the survey. And if you get more surveys, please fill them out, because we are looking at them, we're reading them, and we appreciate you. Oops, I just went the wrong way. Okay. So when we looked at the awards, and we found out, this was so surprising to me, so surprising, that only 1.5% of our dens and packs were actually earning these awards. I don't know if that's surprising to you too, but it was so surprising to me. And some of them were 0 to 3%, so super, super low. And the concepts, if you've worked on any of these, you know the concepts are so good. Like, go out and have fun all summer long, right? One activity a month. Like, it's just such good stuff. And so we know that the elective adventures have an attachment rate between 15 and 25%. So obviously our elective adventures are much more successful. So what we wanted to do was make sure that the concepts that are in these awards now are moving into adventures. So we sort of reimagined the awards into adventures so that we'll have a higher attachment rate. So these are the adventures available for all ranks. I call these the really fun ones, the really fun elective adventures. And these are the things that we surveyed you and said, what are the things that all your Cub Scouts want to do every year? And you said they want to do Pinewood Derby and Rain Gutter Regatta every year. And we said, that's a great idea. Let's make that an adventure. You said they want to go fishing. Of course they want to go fishing. Who wouldn't want to go fishing, especially in Pennsylvania? They want to go cycling. We want to have like bike rodeos. We want to do swimming. We want to do camping. We want to do conservation. So all of those got reimagined across the board and are these great adventures that focus on those things. So every year you can earn these as an elective adventure across all the ranks. So then we talk about the Cub Scout elective adventures. And so you'll notice right away that the elective adventures, we have less in kindergarten and fifth grade. And I'm sure you can guess why, right? Because we know as kindergartners, we don't get those kindergartners until they start kindergarten. So they actually have less time in our program. And we know the same thing is true for AOL, right? We only have them for a shorter amount of time. So they have 16 electives possible. And for our other 4 grades, we have 20 electives. And let me explain the shading. So the top of it are the things that are what we currently have. So you'll see 2nd grade Code of the Wolf, right? So we're still got that. We've just made the requirements more simple. The ones that are shaded a little darker are our new ones, our new adventures, elective adventures. And the stuff on the bottom is all the things, I call it the RATs, the range and target sports. Those are things that have to be done at a council level. So I'll let you take a look at that for just a second more. And then I'm going to move on. All right. So this is exciting. The summertime fun is just one requirement. So this is, I would totally, as a pack, plan to do this. So remember before, if you did any of the summertime pack awards, they required your whole den to go and get it. And then, so that was kind of disappointing for some of our super scouts, the ones that, you know, those, I'm sure you've got them, the ones that want to do everything. They're so in and their families are so in. The Summertime Fun Award can be earned individually. And all they have to do is anytime during May through August, participate in a total of 3 Cub Scout activities. Those Cub Scout activities could be with your pack. I know our pack in the summer would plan one thing each month. And then if our family was at the shore in a month or on vacation, they didn't go, that's okay. They would catch up with us the next month. And then people could come and go as they want. And that was very successful for us. Your packs probably do other things that are like that. Obviously, Cub Scout Day Camp, you know, Camp at Where would be part of that. So they just have to do 3 activities across the summer. So we have kind of thought through knife safety. So to use a knife, a Cub Scout has to complete the adventure for every rank every year. And there's 3 different levels. There's bears, Webelos, and AOLs. And the knife safety kind of focuses on different things. So for example, one is kitchen knife safety. One is like more of the traditional whittling. So they're focused differently. And I know people have asked me about, well, you know, if they learned knife safety as a bear, shouldn't they just be able to go all the way to Scouts BSA and that should count? And of course, when it comes to safety, and I'm sure you guys already have thought through this, like we want to make sure that we're reinforcing our safety skills every single year to make sure that we're always careful with knives. So that's how these adventures work. Building on the skills, but still reinforcing knife safety. So then we always hear about STEM. I know Carrie Lee is very into STEM too. It's so much fun. The STEM stuff. And can you guys, hey Doug, can I just say something to you? Can you see the screen okay? Is it showing up all right for you, or is it lobbing off on the side?
Yeah, it's lopping off on your left side, on the right side on the screen.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm so sorry. Now it's crazy. Now it's crazy talk here. Let me see. Let me see if I can figure out why it's doing that. Now we're like crazy. I'm sorry. Oops. It just seems to be this one slide. So I apologize for this. Bear with me. I'm not really sure why it's doing this. On the STEM stuff, we heard loud and clear that people really enjoy STEM adventures, but they wanted it through all the levels. So basically, all the slide is showing, and I apologize that it's lobbing off for our older levels, is that there is an adventure in every level of the program now for science, technology, engineering, and math. So that means that if that's something your den is passionate about, you're going to have so much fun with these new adventures. So let me just make sure that the next ones don't. I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay, let's see. Can you see, is that working better now, Doug? Can you see everything?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
thank you.
fine. That's perfect.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure why that one slide is misbehaving. All right. So here we are again with all the Cub Scout requirements. Remember, you're doing the 6 and then 2 electives. And then on the Arrow of Light side, we're really gearing them towards moving into a Scouts BSA troop. So if you have 4th grade Webelos, you should not begin working on your Arrow of Light stuff, because remember, those are not going to be shared any longer. So we suggest that you work on elective adventures that are not going to be available next year as an Arrow of Light elective. So everyone gets excited about uniforms. So the uniforms, they're, and again, I'm going to say this with love in my heart. I love uniforms too. With what we know, when you're young at this age, people are outgrowing stuff. And so do your best, right? We shouldn't be so into this that that we're like insisting that someone buy a new, a blue uniform if we think if the buttons are busting and they're at the beginning of 4th grade and they're going to plan on moving into Arrow of Light and they're going to go into Scouts BSA, I would suggest just go ahead and let them get the khaki shirt, right? We just need to make those good choices so that our families aren't having to spend money on something that they're only going to use for a couple months and then have to transition to something else. So this is kind of the uniform. And obviously you see that we're switching the 4th grade Webelos after earning the rank of Webelos, or after completing the 4th grade, or when the family has decided they're going to cross into Scouts BSA and the blue Cub Scout no longer fits, then move to the tan uniform. So again, you'll see that we use the adventure colors for our adventure pins for Webelos and Arrow of Light. And to me, this is exciting. Now, I know you may think this is not as exciting as I do, but I'm excited that Arrow of Light gets their own book. And I'm excited that it has the grade level on the front cover, because I have been in the scout shop when new families have come in and they're looking for the handbook, and they have absolutely no idea what their level of Cub Scouts is called. They're just trying to get their stuff for their son or daughter. And so having the grade on there is going to be super helpful, I think, for our new families. The content in the Arrow of Light, which is interesting, is we've worked really closely with the Scouts BSA team to kind of create not only the Arrow of Light requirements, but also to make sure that in the back of the book, they have content from the Scouts BSA handbook on the Scout rank badge requirements. Now, that doesn't mean that as an Arrow of Light Scout, before they move over, they can earn Scout. They cannot. But what it does is it helps you to let your Arrow of Light Scouts know what's going to be the first badge rank, so that they can go, wow, I could do this. I could be a Scouts BSA. I totally could do this. And so it's going to be, and that also means that they may not have to buy a new handbook until after they move into the troop. So what we're trying to do is extend the life of this book for them. So this is all about, kind of the purpose of the program. Before, we thought Webelos was to, both levels of Webelos were trying to prepare Cub Scouts to become Scouts BSA. The reality was that we got from your feedback was that they really don't need that long. So Cub Scout in the Webelos level in 4th grade, we're still working on Cub Scout stuff. You know, we're doing the same kind of things. And then after that, when we move to Arrow of Light, we're working to prepare them to go to Scouts BSA. And that Scouts BSA transition now, we're suggesting occurs in January or February. And if you think about that, it's because the sooner we can get, we know that the sooner we can get our Arrow of Light Scouts transitioned into Scouts BSA, they're usually ready to go by that time. By the time they've completed the required adventures, the elective adventures, they've earned the rank. And it helps them prepare, be in that troop longer so that when they go to camp, because we know once we get them into camp, then they're going to be there, right? It's going to have a great experience and they're going to want to be part of Scouts BSA. So if they have a little bit extra time with the troop to forge those relationships, to feel comfortable, to go on a couple of regular campouts, then by the time they go to summer camp, we know they're going to be in, they're going to have a great experience. This is just kind of like the badges of rank and adventures and how they would fit on the uniform. You do it by the first earned rank, and then you add them after that. And like I said, we have the handbooks, we have what grade level they're on. They all have like the lion and the tiger book have super cute graphics, the same designer that does the cartoons and stuff for Scout Life. So they're really cute. They're a lot, the kindergartners and the lions and the tigers have a partner guide and a scout guide. They're super beefy. They're really, really cute. I think you guys are going to love them when you see them. So these are kind of like a snapshot of adventure. This is kind of what things will look like in the new book. This is Pedal with the Pack. Notice that there's a little QR code on the bottom of the page. That QR code goes and it gives you different information about that so that you can have all the information you need to put on a great program for this particular badge or adventure. Sorry, I'm trying to get my screen to go down. There we go. And then in the back of the book, there's going to be colored tabs that help you navigate the adventure book. So it's a little bit, it's going to have the Scout Oath and Law and some different like key information, but it's also going to have all the different adventures that are options for you. So this is the part, and we're like I said, I've been on this team for 5 years. So from the very beginning of this project all the way to now, and so the last part of this project is to make sure that you as leaders have some amazing resources. And again, I cannot thank you enough for being so willing to give us so many great ideas. I hope when you look at this, that if you submitted an idea, that you see it and you're proud about your contribution to this, because we could not have done this project without the data you gave us and without the great ideas that you submitted. I'm always so impressed, and it would blow your mind if you saw all of the data that came in from all of your surveys. It was really impressive. So what you're going to do is, this is all free. So before, remember, we had, you had the little app on your phone, right? And you would be able to go through as a leader. But the problem with it was that it was hard if I was working with Carrie Lee and she was my co-den leader or an assistant den leader, or maybe she was just a parent in my group. It was hard for me to share with her that information that was on my app, because if she wasn't listed as a den leader, she wasn't able to get to it. So this is going to take care of that. So everything on here is free. It's off of scouting.org. And what you'll do is you'll go in and you'll say, okay, I'm working on lion stuff. So I'm going to go into the lion adventures. And the first thing that happens is telling me all the adventures that are required and the elective adventures. So it first tells me in big print that I should be working on the Bobcat adventure first. When it says that, it means the Bobcat Adventure should be worked first in the fall once you get the entire done together. We do not suggest that you work on any required adventures in the summer because you don't want your new people that you recruit in the fall then you have to go back through and do them for them. So work on elective adventures in the summer. In the summertime, adventure is always a great one to do. And then the Bobcat Adventure becomes the first one you do in the fall. And somebody always asks me, I'm so disappointed we won't have our Bobcat ceremonies anymore. And I'm like, oh, but wait, think about the Bobcat ceremony that you could do with your entire pack because the entire pack is now going to earn Bobcat. So I can't wait to see the cool photos that you guys post about your first full Bobcat ceremony for the whole pack. I think that's going to be so amazing, and I'm excited. So that's what for Bobcat. So then the required adventures are below that, and then the elective adventures are below that. So what you do is you go in and you click on one of these, and then it's going to take you to an adventure page. So this is the example for Fun on the Run, which is a required adventure. And you're going to see that there's a snapshot of the adventure. And I apologize that that's in Latin for those of you who can't read in Latin. This is the dummy page for this. And I'm sorry that we don't have the actual page for this one in here. But there's a snapshot of adventure, just kind of generically tells you about what the adventure is going to be like. Then it's got a safety moment because, of course, we want to make sure always that there's safety being considered at every level. And some of our adventures have more. So things like the bicycle safety stuff, we have more stuff in there, and it'll have all the links of all the stuff that you might need to know as a den leader to make sure that you're thinking about safety. And that's at the forefront of your mind while you're planning your adventure. So then what you're going to do is you're going to say, all right, so I have to, my activity cards for this requirement, for requirement 1, which is get to know the members of your den. So for this particular requirement, we give you 3 options. And does this mean that Lori, as an experienced den leader, has to pick one of these 3? Absolutely not. Lori, as an experienced den leader who's already been through this with her superstar son, has already probably figured out how she likes to get to know the members of your den. She probably has some great ideas. She doesn't need to do these. These are just ideas for people who might be like having a struggle figuring out what they're going to do. Maybe they're a new leader, or maybe they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Maybe this never happened to you, but me as a den leader, every once in a while I'll be like, oh my gosh, it's Monday. We have a den meeting tonight. I got to figure something out. And it'd be kind of last minute. I'm sure none of that doesn't happen to you because you guys are a lot more on the ball than I was. So what this does is it lets me look at this really quickly and say, okay, the little icons, is it indoor? And if it says indoors, it means that it doesn't mean I couldn't do this activity outside. It means that it could be done inside. So most of these activities could also be done outside. So totally up to you if you want to do it inside or outside. It says, how much energy am I going to expend? So if I've got a bunch of kindergartners, I'm probably going to want to have at least something that's going to burn off some energy, if you know what I mean. The next one is, what does the supply list look like? Does it look like, I'm going to have to do 4 trips to Michael's to do this? Or does it look like I have these things at home? So if it's I have these things at home, it's going to be a 2. If it's I have no supplies needed, that's going to be a 1. So that's what these are telling you. So that'll tell you if you're flying by the seat of your pants like me that one day when I needed to get stuff together for my den meeting, that I'll be able to quickly look at this and go, oh, this is not, I could probably get this one together and be able to be totally on board and okay for tonight's meeting. The last icon, so we've talked about it's indoors, it's high energy or low energy, or what kind of energy level for the scouts, how much supplies, and then how much prep time it takes. So if it doesn't take any prep time, like that's going to be a 1. So these particular cards are showing me that all of these take a little bit of prep time. So I need to be cognizant of that. So then when I go through there, I can click on one of these and it's going to tell me more information. So it's gonna say, and I've already explained this about this. The other icons you might see on this activity card, you could be indoor, you could be outdoor, you could have travel, right? So your travels are like, you're gonna go see a community leader, you're talking to the mayor of Downingtown, whatever. Like those are that kind of thing. And then you've got your energy level, you've got what supplies you've got, and then your prep time. So then as you drill down, so let's say we clicked on Den Flag, and then it's going to tell you what the snapshot is. It's going to tell you again, reinforce what kind of supplies you need, how much prep time. The supply list, and unfortunately, this is like a dummy supply list, but the supply list is actually a bulleted list. It says stuff like, you are going to need a half of yard of fabric for each Cub Scout, or a pencil for each Cub Scout. A lot of these things we created printables for you. So, for example, some of them have a word search, some of them have, like, there's some that we've created that are like those little what are they? I don't know what you call them, fortune tellers, where you take them and you move them back and forth and they have things. We have those you print out. We have dice that you make, you can cut out, and you roll the die and it asks you to do something, and then the scouts have to do it. Those are printables for you to use. So if it has a printable, the supply list will say printer because you're going to have to print it. So we tried to give you everything that you needed to be easy. I'm like, you could rock and roll and put on a great Den meeting. And or what we hope you'll do is you'll get other people to be, say, hey, John, I'm going to be running late for a meeting next week. Would you be willing to take next week's Den meeting and do more shared leadership? Because we know that when you ask somebody to do maybe one Den meeting, help out, that it's easy for them to see, oh, this is easy. All I had to do was go pick this, and this is simple. Like, all the directions are here. My supply list is here. And then there's step by step. See on the bottom, it says directions. It says before the meeting, and then it says 1, print out the printable. Number 2, cut, if you have to cut anything out, it tells you that. And then it says during the meeting, 1, hand a printable out to every Cub Scout with a pencil. Like, it tells you step by step instructions on how to do everything. Does Lori need that as the experienced Den leader that she is? Probably not. But think about John, the guy that's a new parent in your Den that you'd like for him to maybe help out every once in a while, how easy it will be to ask him to help. So the Cub Scout program updates, we have an entire schedule on Cub Chat Live. How many of you, and I'm gonna let me see if I can see you guys. I can't. Everybody's got their pictures off because we're doing this. But are you guys familiar with Cub Chat Live? I mean, jump in, tell me, are you, oh, Jen. Hello, Jen. Can you unmute yourself? So you're familiar with Cub Chat Live. I'm so excited.
I am. It usually happens while I'm at the end of my teaching days, so I'm not really able to jump in, but the fact that it's there and you can go back and look at
Yes.
previous ones.
And we have them on
is nice.
Right? Like, did you know that you could get like all the, so I think of it as like Cub Scout roundtable tips and tricks, like on demand, right? It's so awesome. Like, there's one on Pinewood Derbies, there's one on Blue and Golds, there's one on recruiting leaders, there's one on basically any topic. They've been going on for like, I don't know, 3 to 5 years now. So there's an entire catalog of really cool topics. And they've taken a bunch of those topics and in the last year have done podcasts. So you're driving to work. Like, I like to listen to podcasts, and you can get all that information via podcast. The Cub Chat Lives that are listed here are all about the new program updates. So I totally would, as Jen pointed out, they're in on Fridays, and so sometimes they're not at an ideal time, like for the workday, but I always try to catch up with them, recorded or via podcast. So these are the different ones. I'm actually doing one on Arbor Day in April. That is not listed here because, and I'm going to go over Champions for Nature, which is across all of our levels. So that'll be fun. But you'll see all these. So Den and Pack meetings is coming up. The top 10 most common questions that we get. and then the safety integration, and we've kind of talked a little bit about that. The bottom below that is talking about when you can expect to start seeing things in the shop. So our Cub Scout handbooks, we've kind of finalized those. They're off to print. The different training and stuff's going to be available in May. There'll be updated Cub Scout roundtable videos, position-specific training is going to be updated. And then you're going to see everything, boom, go live in June. So people always ask me, what's the best way to keep updated? There's a lot going on, and there is a lot going on. And you being on this call shows how amazing you are. I know you've got a lot going on yourselves in your personal lives and in your scouting lives. These are really a great way to keep updated. And I just, do the QR code. It gives you the updates for the rollout. It gives you our program updates. It gives you our Cub Chat Live, a link to the Cub Chat Live, and then also the podcast. So basically, it's just everything Cub Scouty in one location. And if we could get that word out to more people, that all this information is there and it's very easy and it's distilled down so that everyone can easily get to it. I think that would help our new leaders, especially a lot, to feel more comfortable with this stuff. I think I'm going to stop my share and I'm going to bring up my little list here. And if you guys, so what do you guys think? I mean, do you have questions? What are your thoughts? Are you excited? I hope you're excited.
I have a question.
Sure.
If a den leader doesn't have a printer, are they able to contact council to get them to print things for them because they don't own a printer at home?
Absolutely. Whatever they need, all they have to do is ask their DE. The problem is getting it to the den leader, where they can meet halfway, they can possibly drop it off or pick it up at park. Whatever a scout leader needs, whether it's a troop, whether it's a pack, we're here to help in any possible way we can.
Oh, you guys are the best, Doug. You guys are the best. That's
I have a
awesome.
question, and this
Sure.
was came up at the roundtable last week. So I know that Nova and Supernova, that was council was doing that, or it was, I don't know how to say it. Is Chester County still going to support those who want to earn Nova and Supernova awards,
Yes.
as we do have counselors for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So for those of you who weren't in the know on that, thank you, Jen, for bringing that up. We last year, National decided they wouldn't support the STEMnova awards at the national level, but they allowed councils to decide whether they would support it, and our council does. Travis, did you have a question?
Yeah, so for summer camp is tracking all the new activities, and they're going to be able to help us with coordinating the activities to the new requirements.
Yes, they've been working on that. They've been working on those activities since like October, so they are in the know and they're ready to go.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, Scott, did you have a question?
I did. What's the, I guess, migration or situation with the current Webelos that are becoming AOLs? It seems like that looks like it's a pretty, not difficult, but a transition time that, 2 books to 1. There's different electives. They already started working on some of the stuff maybe for next year, for the AOL year, given this year's requirements, if they were trying to get ahead. Any advice on that? Because my son's right in that spot.
So I totally get you where you're coming from, because my son was like transitioning with when we changed to the last program. So I understand your stress. So the new program, the new AOL program, you're going to be able to get that done no problem between, September to, let's say you start with your new Arrow of Light, you get new people in, you start them off in September. You're going to be able to complete everything by January. All of the adventures written to be either 60 to 120 minutes. So you're supposed to be able to complete an entire adventure in basically 2 meetings at max. Now, some of the AOL stuff you may want to take a little longer because they're just more fun. You know, I mean, not that they're
Yep.
not more, I'm not trying to disparage any of the other levels, but the AOL stuff that you got older kids and they can do like more intense things. So sometimes you want to spend a little more time, but I have every confidence you're going to be done by January.
Will they
Um,
have, I guess, extra electives if they worked on them, you know, since we did our blue and gold banquet and he got his Weeblo, like all those electives, like those pins he can keep on his colors and everything, like none of that goes away, right?
Yeah, he can keep him on his stuff, but he's still gonna earn the 6 required, you know, adventures,
Understood.
and he's gonna
Okay.
still do 2 electives. And honestly, I know you're packed. You guys are go-getters. You're gonna have that's no problem, right? You guys are gonna have you're gonna go biking, or you're gonna go swimming, or you're gonna, you know, all of those, you know, Pinewood Derby doesn't usually happen until a little bit later, but you're gonna have all that stuff, Ring, get a regatta. You'll have plenty of things. He won't have a problem. Not a problem.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Thanks.
Yeah.
We do have a bike rodeo coming up in August. August 17th will be the bike rodeo in Exton.
Oh, that'll be
So
super
hopefully
fun.
they don't necessarily have to plan one. They can just show up.
That'll be awesome. And that'll be coming out in Trailblazer, Carrie Lee.
I think it's gonna go definitely out at the program launch in May 8th. So
Perfect. Great.
I know it'll be there. I don't know when it will be out prior to that because we're still putting things in place. But if people get the date on their calendar then and know what it is, I don't want PAX thinking that they got to plan a bike rodeo. If there's one already being planned and they could just show up, it's so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Super fun. Anybody else have any questions or like anything we can do to help you? You know, like I said, we're here to help you. We want you to be successful. Um, we will do anything we can to support you. Anything else that you guys have?
Tamara, it's Bill Faust.
Hey, Joe.
Sorry for being late, but this really does. If you haven't watched the Cup Chat Live, this was very similar to Cup Chat Live 2 weeks ago. I was able to pick that up a couple days later. But one of the things they said then, and I asked for clarification or confirmation, is we're not getting access to any of these resources to start planning until June 1st, correct?
That's true, Bill. The difference is the people who are planning like summer, like the people who are planning summer camp, for example, they've had access to all the stuff that they're gonna do for the summer camp stuff. So that stuff's out. But the actual requirements that a pack or den, you know, den leader might need, those will not be available till June 1st. Well, let me backstep for just a second, Bill. The online resources will not be available till June 1st. The handbooks are going to be out, right? They'll be out. They're supposed to be out in April-ish / beginning of May. So then you'll see the requirements because they'll be in the books, right?
Agreed. And just to put everybody else's minds at ease, one of the adventures I found most interesting coming out is the summer fun adventure.
Yes.
If you haven't watched that Cup Chat Live, watch it. But basically it says do 2 activities over the summer from May to September or May to August. So it's really easy. If you're going to summer camp, you're doing a parade, you decide to do a summer swim party, it's
Exactly.
done in a heartbeat. So,
Right.
and that's your elective adventure. Just
Yeah,
saying.
and I love it because before I would get sadness if your whole den couldn't do it, Bill, then you couldn't earn it. But this one is like individual. So if you have a super scout and they're going to all this stuff, they get to earn that. And so it's super easy. I love that you said that. Yes, we went over that a little bit earlier. I'm not sure that you were on the call when we went over that, but I totally agree with you. Thank you for pointing that out.
Just to let everybody know that is here, day camp will cover the new night safety for the bears and Weeblos and Arrow Lights. So we are covering that completely at the Cub Scout day camp this year.
Awesome. And that's going to be at Park, right, Carrie Lee?
That's at Park August 5th through 9th.
Nice. Awesome. And I know they've got all these really cool things planned out at Camp Ware. I don't know about your kids, but my son had some of the best times of his whole life at Camp Ware at that Cub Scout day, the Cub Scout resident camp. Such a great program. I hope if you haven't had a chance to do that with your pack, I hope you take the opportunity. It's a really amazing program. Anybody else have any comments or thoughts? All right, well, it's 7:51, so I'm actually giving you 9 minutes back. I so appreciate everything that you do to bring Cub Scouts to life for the young people in our council. You are the rock stars in my mind of all the people that are in our council. Cub Scout leaders are the absolute best. They're the rock stars. So any way that I can help you, my email address is Tamara, TAMARA.Christensen, CHRISTENSEN @gmail.com. I'd be happy to help you in any way that I can. Thank you guys. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Tamara.
Bye.
All right.